Hello, everybody. It's Angelic Cypher, and I'm coming in with Wargaming's latest roadmap for 2026. Now, I'm not going to spend any time really going over things like the matchmaker or anything, because people are already going to beat those to death with their thoughts on it. Overall, I think the whole thing's kind of a net positive. There's a few concerns I have, and a few things that they really didn't say a whole lot. But I'm going to go through the carrier-specific elements of this, and I'm going to be pausing the video at various points to give you my overall thoughts on each individual point. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this.
It's no secret that during 2025 we've been addressing the carrier gameplay in our game with a few targeted releases. In 2026 we're going to continue this trend, but instead of focusing on one huge release, bundling all of the changes together, we'll spread them out, releasing them gradually. We have a few key goals to accomplish, and we think we've made some progress towards some of them. You can read more about that in the article.
Okay, so first of all, the fact that they are releasing this in stages, it's not an uncommonly known thing, and I've said this as much, and Wargaming has flat admitted the rollout of 0.8.0, the original CV rework, was hot garbage. And they realize that. So to their credit, I have to admit I like what they're doing. When they put up the PTS of the proposed carrier changes, everybody was like, what the Sam shit? I mean, it was bad. The feedback was horrible. And part of it was they were dramatically changing too many things at once. They were overly complicating other things. They were trying to basically fix all problems at once rather than being smart about it and saying, let's adjust and tweak things a little bit here and there and put this in a more healthy state rather than breaking 15 things to fix 5. So I have to applaud Wargaming on this one. I'm not trying to be a Wargaming apologist, but I think this is a much smarter way to do things. And already the general consensus has been positive towards the changes that have been implemented for aircraft carriers. And you get to hear my infamous mascot Doom Kitty singing the song over people. Come here. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and continue on with the rest of this video and go from there.
However, we'll continue releasing until all of those goals are met. We understand that even after that, the work will not be done, and we'll be continuing to address aircraft carriers whenever the need arises. But right now, let's give you a little bit of insight on the features that you can expect in 2026. Last year, we showed you aimed fire, a new AA mechanic that will replace defensive fire and give you a buff if the carrier focuses you too much. Aside from that, we plan.
Okay, so the aimed fire, it wasn't just one mechanic that they were playing with. It was like several different pieces. So you had the aimed fire consumable. The aimed fire consumable, in its original iteration, did a couple of things. One, it would dramatically increase your AA. And that by itself was already pretty cool. It did remove the flak. The flak still showed up as a graphic piece, but it didn't actually do damage. What they did is they severely increased the continuous damage, because flak is a skill check. If a CV is used to playing CVs, they can figure out how to dodge most of the flak. They can get around most of the damage. So that's a skill check. This is so I understand the point of let's get rid of the flak damage and just buff the continuous damage better. Another thing that it did that this was very negatively met by even surface players who hated CVs. They thought this mechanic was stupid, because if you hit your aimed fire before they actually got within your AA range, it would cause your ship to disappear. Philadelphia experiment, it's gone. I can't see it as the CV. All the surface ships can see it just fine, but I can't with planes right over the top of you. It was kind of a garbage mechanic. It was stretching the truth for, even though this is an arcade game, not a simulator, it was stretching the bounds of the disassociation even more than wargaming usually does. So so we don't know if they're planning on implementing that or not. I hope they're not. I don't mind getting rid of the flak damage and increasing the continuous AA. But that was divorced from the consumable, or excuse me, this next piece was divorced from the consumable. It was just a passive, and the passive in question was the if I get within your AA range, it starts building up charges overall, kind of like the special order stuff, where if I'm in your AA range, it starts building this charge, and what the charge does is it increases. Once it reaches max, it dramatically increases your AA, so I can't continue to attack you. The problem with that is, if I'm not attacking you, I'm attacking the ship next to you. That's one of the things. So it's kind of like bullshit splash damage for no reason. And previously, it also did not deteriorate. It was a permanent thing. This sounds like they're by calling it a temporary. Hopefully, they're going to make this deteriorate. So basically, makes me have to hit around stuff on the map, because otherwise, if your AA gets buffed and it's at the beginning of the match and it stays buffed, it gives the CV no ability to hit you with any sort of reliability or ease, especially towards the end of the match when the CV's planes are getting depleted more, especially with the increased AA. And CV's planes are its way to affect the map. So we need to make it more impactful for shooting down planes, but surface players also need to understand that shooting down planes is the point. So you remove the ability for them to affect you by shooting down planes. The hull is basically just kind of there. If you're lucky, it might have some effect on the match, but generally speaking, the hull does not. It's the planes that do. So I appreciate this balance aspect. The other thing that they were talking about previously, and they don't mention it anywhere in this, so I'm going to bring it up, was the replacement of priority sector. Instead of being left or the port or starboard of the ship, and you have to line it up right, and then I can just, quote, go around it, unquote. What they were talking about replacing it with was basically just a button that it buffs all of your AA at once. That's not a consumable, but it's on a cooldown. Similar to what priority sector is now, except it goes all the way around the ship. Which honestly, cool. I assume people are going to hit priority sector on whatever side I'm coming in on. So that to me is kind of a wash. It helps the surface player a little bit more, and I don't care about it one way or another. I'm expecting to take that damage. So if I don't, hey, yay. If I do, okay. Again, I was expecting it. So let's continue on.
And to add more gameplay variety for carrier captains by introducing tactical consumables that will allow you to support your teammates better. This is aside from the changes already announced to defensive fighters. Those targeted consumables are going to be focused on adding ways for you to support your teammates. One consumable will allow extinguishing allies' fires from a distance, and another one to heal them. We hope.
Okay, so I see this as a double-edged sword. I think this is one as a CV, the ability to help my teammates even more. Oh, dude, that's awesome. I mean, right now there's certain ships I can drop smoke screens for them, and anytime I drop a smoke screen for ships, I almost always get a comp, or somebody's doing just a quick thank you or whatever, just the radio button of thank you, or I'll just get a TY in chat, whatever, just by dropping a smoke screen, because I'm trying to help my team. Dropping a fighter for those mechanics, players seem to appreciate a lot more when I'm able to create areas, denial areas against enemy CVs. So I think those changes are good. Here's my fear. Is right now, taking the fighters as an example, if I am flying my planes and then I see fighters coming in or enemy attack aircraft coming in, and I'm like, I press T by default to pull up the minimap and load fighters. I can still control my attack squadron at the time that I'm doing this, but I need to try and get that dropped quickly so I'm not running into a bunch of flak as well and getting my own squadron deleted while trying to help the team. My fear is this. If I am trying to do stuff similar to that with essentially a fire damage control party and a possible repair, the more things like this you add to the CV, it's cool, but here's how I see this potentially going bad. The whole reason or not the whole reason, but one of the key reasons that they did away with the RTS CVs. The better CV 85% of the time won the match. The team that had the better CV 85% won the match. So in other words, it was like the other 22 players in the match didn't matter the vast majority of the time. That's a broken mechanic. So that was one of the reasons they decided to do this. Another reason, so bringing this back to current, that makes me nervous. If this interface is too sketchy, too tricky, whatever, and it's really becomes a skill floor issue of when to use things and when not to use things, or how to do it without while still being effective and doing damage, etc. We could return to that kind of an offset. I mean, right now we already see people who are, somebody like a cruiser sitting 3 clicks behind a destroyer, and they're launching their hydroacoustic search when it's the beginning of the match and nothing's behind them yet. There's no way anything could be behind them yet. Why are you launching hydroacoustic? You have a built-in hydroacoustic of the DD and 3 clicks in front of you. Or they're launching radar when there's no reason to. We see stupid shit like this all the time. And, sitting there scratching her head. Or, somebody who's a new BB player gets 1 fire and they immediately DCP, and then they get slapped with 3 more as soon as that DCP is down. And they essentially end up burning to death. It's like, dude, so this is a skill issue as it is. My fear is returning back to CVs having that much power on a match. It should never be. CVs are already incredibly powerful. It should not be that much of a skill difference it shouldn't be where the better CV is going to basically help raffle stomp the other team because the other CV can't keep up. It should never be like that. So that's my fear. I think it's potentially an unfounded fear because of the way RTS is versus now. I don't quite have the ability to raffle stomp an entire team by myself like RTS did. So I'm hoping this is not going to be an issue. We'll see. So I think my fear is probably unfounded, but it is still a fear. Anyway, let's continue on.
To be able to release them this year.
Okay, so that was actually it. So my bad. Anyway, I hope this gives you guys some insights on what I'm thinking with these changes. Overall, I think this is a net positive. They're not telling us a whole lot about what some of these changes are going to look like or how they're going to roll. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the patch notes just to go over the other points in more detail. Give me just one sec. All right, I'm not going to read everything in here. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the other points of interest in here. So, keep carriers more viable. Some changes we found useful. Additional tweaks are planned. Yeah, that's all pretty much the same. The improved UI elements. These 2 things, they're not really telling us a whole lot, but it's interesting that they're thinking about trying to find ways to keep the carriers more viable and changing the UI elements. Okay, cool. What does that mean with changing the UI elements? We don't know yet. The aim fire where it replaces the defensive fire, we've already discussed. One of the other pieces that I wanted to show in here, because if people just read the notes, this piece, they added the evasive maneuvers consumable for aircraft. I have seen a lot of flaming about this. Like, oh god, they gave them the ability to negate damage. That was already in the game, guys. If you don't realize that, you don't play CVs enough. And it also, evasive maneuvers is directly replacing repair. So the thing about the repair is repair allowed me to retroactively fix my planes. Evasive maneuvers does not. It's simply a damage negation of 70%. So I take a reduced damage of 70% once I hit that button. I cannot repair damage that's already been done. And it is also only available on CVs tier 8 and higher, and is usually only 1 squadron on the entire CV. And there are some CVs that don't even get the repair consumable at all. See, like FDR, for example. So try not to get too upset about the whole fact that they, quote, added evasive maneuvers. No, they replaced repair with evasive maneuvers. I hate their wording here because it's adding fuel to the fire. Wargaming, please pay attention to what you're saying. So there's that. I love the fact that we can now handle airstrikes with better efficiency. The fighters, everything they've done so far, I really like, except for the manual consumables. I'm like, why? It makes no damn sense. Anyway, it's such a niche set of instances where I would use it. But this was the only other thing that I really kind of wanted to bring up was they're talking about trying to keep them more viable, and the improved UI elements, but they aren't really telling us anything additional. The other thing that they mentioned here is they're still, like mentioned in the video, they're still paying attention to spotting. It is dramatically improved, and here's the point I want to make on this. When I say it's dramatically improved, you're still going to get spotted. It's going to happen. Sorry, welcome to one of the key mechanics of the game. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people are missing. Recently, I've been paying attention to trying to go after Distinguished Service Awards in my aircraft carriers, but I'm noticing this is becoming increasingly difficult. And part of the reason for that is the base XP historically in the ships. Carriers already suffered a reduced base XP because of their amount of influence they have. However, because my spotting damage has dropped dramatically, because I can't spot with fighters, and if you shoot, but I'm outside of your aerial detection range, it doesn't matter. I don't see you. I have to be in your aerial detection range anyway for that to actually pick up. So, it's because of that, the spotting damage has dramatically dropped. My the base XP is dropping as a result. So this is working. Wargaming, if you want to continue with this, cool. I think this is a good idea. Please fix the carrier's base XP and adjust it back to compensate for the fact that we've now lost a huge amount of our influence. Just saying. Anyway, I hope this helps you guys understand a little bit about these changes. Feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Come visit me on Discord or Twitch. I really do appreciate that. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, and I'm going to do this all muted, is a little video clip of something else that they've said is coming that makes me so happy to see that this in particular thing is coming. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm Angelic Cypher, and you all have a good day.